Welcome to Powered by Authenticity. I'm so happy to be sharing this episode recording live out on LinkedIn and YouTube and so many wonderful places. And one of the main reasons is because my guest tonight is so fantastic. Krystalore Crews, welcome to Powered by Authenticity.
Thank you so much for having me, Emily. It's such a blessing.
I know. And, before we get started, I'm going to give a little shout out to my nephew, retired U.S. Air Force Master Sergeant Ricky Underhill, because I'm such a proud aunt. I'm going to put it all in there for introducing us. And it's just been such a wonderful connection, and really been looking forward to this episode with you, Krystalore. So happy. And I was wondering if you give everybody a quick little introduction of yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, shout out to Ricky. Thank you so much. It's such the power of connection, right? And connecting great people, authentic people. And I'm excited for this conversation. So I am Krystalore Crews. I'm the CEO of Crews Beyond Limits Consulting. I consider myself a life, fitness, and a business accelerator. And I'm on a mission to help empower every person on the planet put themselves and their health first for just 34 minutes a day, so we can reduce the stress and overwhelm of life and live a more fulfilling life. And who doesn't want that? And so with my company, we do a lot of different things, anywhere from fitness coaching to mindset coaching. We have group coaching, one-on-one coaching. We have books. I'm a speaker, author. I'm a retreat leader, leadership consultant. I have an incredible team, and we have been building this global brand for now 7 years. As I've traveled all over, just retired from the military where I met Ricky, and 22 years in the military. And I moved to the beaches of Puerto Rico. So living the dream here, 10 steps from the ocean. So everything I do just revolves around that.
That's amazing. And just for everyone's awareness, I have been following Krystalore on Facebook, and you're way too wide awake at 6 o'clock in the morning, but loving the fact that you get to do beach workouts at 6 o'clock in the morning.
That sure gets me up. And it's hot here, so you have to be up early. Otherwise, there can be some challenges.
Yeah. And I think the other day you were dealing with an impending storm that was about ready to hit you as well when you were out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they come out of nowhere. So let's pray to the internet gods and make sure that nothing happens, because it was storming a little while ago.
Oh, no. All right. Well, we'll hope that everything stays good. Well, Krystalore, we love to do a little bit of an icebreaker just to get to know our guests a little bit on a personal level. And a lot of times it revolves around food, not going to lie.
Okay.
So we know we've got the holiday season coming up. What's a favorite side dish that you have for a holiday meal?
Sweet potatoes, sweet taters.
Sweet taters.
Yeah. Sweet potato mashed, or just baked sweet potato. So good.
Yeah, those are one of my favorites too. Delicious.
Yeah. Just with a little bit of honey and a little bit of cinnamon and sugar.
That's delicious. I know my mother-in-law makes this casserole that's got like marshmallows and these sweet potatoes, and it's really like you're eating dessert.
Yeah, exactly. It's a twofer.
That's right. It's a veggie though,
That's right.
Producer Ken, how's it going tonight?
Hello. Good.
All right. What's your favorite holiday side dish?
Ooh, I'm all about the main event with the turkey, but the sweet potato casserole, that's a good one. Go for something a little different though. I'm thinking green bean casserole.
Oh, he stole mine. All right. Well, I'm going to go with probably the good old mashed potato with gravy, because that's just so delicious. And we're looking forward to it. And it's coming up soon. I can't believe how close we are to U.S. Thanksgiving. So, well, Krystalore, I would love for you to share. First of all, thank you for indulging us. We love to get just a little bit of info about our guests. I'd love to hear about the journey and kind of how you found yourself with the work that you're doing. You shifted from military to now being this amazing, coach and speaker, and really all things empowering a people. So tell us a little bit about what that journey looked like.
Yeah. Like I said, I just retired from the military. And when I first started, I joined the Air National Guard. So it was part time while I was going through college. And then I started working at HSBC Bank. So for those of y'all know, we used to have branches back in the day. And then the housing crisis happened in 2008, 2009, and everyone was pulling their money from the banks. And I panicked and I had to transition. I called my recruiter on the Air Force Base and I said, "Hey, you have a bunch of full-time jobs out there, right?" And he said, "Yeah." So I ended up going active in the Air National Guard. So I spent almost 10 years full-time in the military, wearing the uniform every single day. And it was a transition point for me. And then I ended up starting a veteran nonprofit, Team Red, White, and Blue. So I was part of those founding members in Buffalo, New York. And I ended up designing an event where we ran a 5K. We went for breakfast for veterans, and I ended up meeting my husband, who was in the Army, and he ended up getting orders shortly thereafter. Shortly, about a couple years. We ended up getting married, and then we had to move quickly. So I resigned my full-time position in the military and moved away from my home, my friends, my family, everything, my career. And again, I found myself panicking with a master's degree, high ranking in the military, moving away. And I was broke without a job and I hated introducing myself. And I lost all of those identities. And this isn't the first time that I've lost certain identities and had this transition. It seems to be like my middle name, transition. and I say this in all seriousness, but embracing the journey of transition is actually at the root of the work that I do for my clients, is understanding that season of change. So we're not panicking, we're not freaking out, we're actually grounded in confident pursuit of that next level version of you. And so I've gotten a lot of practice. And so one of the things that I did during this time period, when I was really depressed and I was without a job, I went on LinkedIn. And I found a transitioning veteran coach, and I poured my heart out to her, and she ended up working with me and asking me some very powerful questions. And some of those were like, what the heck have you been through that you can help people with? What do you want to do? What lights you on fire? Um, how do you want to live your life? These were powerful questions that I had never really asked myself because I was just transitioning in the military. It's like, okay, what do I want to do? Pick up and go. And I never really got to design the life that I desired. And I had a blank slate. And so in those moments, I told her the story of how I was an NFL cheerleader back in 2005. And I cheered for the Buffalo Bills. Go Bills.
Go
I see your Bills
Bills.
shirt. Go Bills.
Yep.
So I cheered for the Bills. And during my season, I ended up getting really sick and my entire body shut down. And I ended up spending 6 months in a wheelchair.
Oh
So
my
I went
gosh.
from NFL, building my military career, to everything getting stripped of me and shopping for my first apartment in a wheelchair. So talk about transition and challenges, right? And so at the young age of 22, I built a toolkit that I didn't realize that I had, of resilience, of mindfulness. I started journaling. I wrote letters. I got therapy. And I started building that toolkit that I would use over and over again. And I didn't realize it until she started asking me some powerful questions. And I said, I want to do what you do. Someday I want to give back to other veterans and other military spouses that are in this season of change. And so it started with fitness. So I ended up starting an online fitness business in 2017, well before COVID,
Yeah.
from scratch. I had no idea what I was doing, and ended up getting certified in leadership coaching, diversity coaching for my military position, and ended up doing a lot of leadership consulting for the whole country, traveling all over. So I learned and got certified in emotional intelligence and temperament personality testing for businesses and teams. And so I was like, I have all this mindset coaching, and I want to be I was a runner and a fitness instructor, and I'm like, how can I put this together? And everyone's like, no, you got to pick one. And I said, no, I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
So fast forward to 2019, I got diagnosed with cancer, and another season of change where I was like, I'm done with this online fitness thing. It was barely taken off. I didn't know what I was doing, and I almost quit. And then there was this business conference, and I finally mapped out my big idea, and I carried around with me every single day the same piece of paper. And I shared this message because sometimes in these seasons of where you think you're just beginning, if you map it out and dream a little dream, just dream a little bit, it might not happen overnight, but I mapped it out. And then sure enough, this is literally 2 weeks after cancer surgery, I mapped out a big dream. Don't you know, this was October of 2019. What happened? March of 2020?
Mm-hmm.
COVID. All the gyms shut down.
Yep.
So my friends are like, hey, you do all this fitness stuff. Can you teach something online? So I did. I said, yes, I have the tools. I had all the skills. And so I transitioned really quickly, and I ended up teaching every day during COVID for men and women and children and dance camps and cheer camps, and ended up turning it into a membership. And then I built courses, and then I wrote my books, and then I started speaking, and then I hosted retreats, and the rest is history. And so it's a global brand and a mission and a movement to help people live happier and healthier and design the life that they desire. So hopefully that answers your
Oh my gosh.
long journey all over the place.
No. So I can't even imagine now if you think about what you were when you were in that wheelchair. I can't imagine there had to be days where you're like, first of all, I'm never going to get out of the wheelchair, and now to look at yourself and being able to run, that global fitness business. I can't even imagine the emotion that you must feel from just the waves of gratitude and just what has happened to be able to enable you to do that. It's got to be so powerful to you every day.
Yes. And, one of the things I always say for my clients is one step at a time, one repetition at a time, one round at a time. And when I first started, I got out of that wheelchair. I had to crawl to the kitchen because I was living in this carriage house in Buffalo, and the living room and the bedrooms were upstairs, but the kitchen was downstairs. And there was like these wooden stairs that I had to crawl face forward down the stairs because my legs wouldn't work.
Yeah.
And they were in so much pain. So I had to crawl before I could walk, before I could run. And there were times where even the military, they put me on a lot of medication. I had to take steroid injections, a chemotherapy pill. It was horrible. I took more medication to offset the pain and the ulcers it was a hot mess.
Yeah.
Anyways, they tried to kick me out of the military too.
Oh
and I said no. Yep. And so I got off of all that medication, and I started walking one step at a time. And it healed me from the inside out. And I started learning the power of nutrition and anti-inflammatory diets. I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. So a lot of times when our body seizes up and we panic, it can shut down, and it will slow down if you don't keep moving. And that's what I learned. And so just keeping going, not pushing too much, but keeping the momentum, small things each and every day will exponentially grow over time. And so that can be in fitness, that can be in your business, that can be in writing if you're an author or a speaker, that can be at your job, applying for your next promotion, in family, just little bits every time. And that's what's kept me going.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting, and I think there's a direct correlation between our health and wellness and our performance in the corporate world. When you are fine-tuning yourself, when you're sleeping well, when you're eating well, when you're managing stress through working out, whether walking is so therapeutic, you perform better at your job when you're performing best for yourself. So, it sounds like you have similar thoughts. Any other ideas behind that that you can share with everybody?
Yeah, there's a direct correlation to your daily non-negotiables and your habits and your mental and your physical well-being, right? And so we are in a mental health crisis, right? And so there's, especially since COVID, right, there's just a lot of change. And so what I have found are 4 daily non-negotiables. So setting boundaries and non-negotiables can really help set you up for success to keep your body working at optimum performance. What I didn't tell you is that I got off of all the medication in the year. I want to tell you a good news story.
Yeah.
Got off of all the medication, took me an entire year. I said no to all my doctors that were trying to give me all that junk. I said no to the military. I'm staying in, and I started running, and I've run 26 marathons and a 50-mile race. And I don't even take ibuprofen to this day. I am not under any medication. And that is the power of mindfulness, nutrition, sleep, hydration, and movement. So if you can implement just a little bit each day for your daily non-negotiables to set you up for success, and that's sleep, hydration, nutrition, and movement. And then I added in some mindfulness. In the last year, I'm also in another season of change, which I didn't tell you about, but mindfulness and meditation, I always thought I was like woo woo. I was like, no, I'm not doing that. My brain, I don't have time for that.
Yep.
I'm too busy. I can't quiet the noise. And meditation and mindfulness and breath work has saved my life. And so what I will say is that when I was back in that wheelchair, I didn't realize that I was in a toxic, abusive relationship with the person that I was living with. And I found some patterns throughout my military career, even of some toxic leadership that had a physical reaction. So my body was physically reacting to the mental stress that was happening in my ecosystem and in my career. And so I think whether you're in the military or in the corporate setting or in your household or in your family, your relationships and play a huge role in your mental health as well and your physical well-being. And so what we choose to subscribe to on the internet, I always say you can choose the algorithm of what you see, and you can choose to say no to things and the energy that doesn't serve us. And I found that a lot of toxic energy was causing a lot of my physical illness and injuries and autoimmune and cancer, all of the stress and anxiety and depression that I went through. It wasn't the ailment. It wasn't what I was doing. It was who was around me.
Yep.
It was what I was allowing into my being. So I say that to say, if you're in a situation where you feel that you're in a toxic situation, ask for help, get help, and definitely get into community, because that we're not meant to do life alone. And, shout out to Ricky for connecting us and having this powerful conversation, being authentic and asking for help and just saying, hey, I'm not okay right now. I need help are the most powerful 3 words that I have ever said out of my mouth.
Yep. And I'm going to just take that one step further. It can be, you need help in any situation, to your point. Stress and just all of the weight of the world when it starts to fall on you. It's not a weakness. If anything, it makes you so brave to say, I need to step up. During the pandemic, I was working for a healthcare consulting firm. I was supporting hospitals. We were standing up telehealth conversion and standing up vaccine and testing centers. I'd get on the phone with CIOs and I would hear the words, my ER is a war zone right now, and just trying to help from an IT and digital perspective. And I was working with leadership who just, instead of, are you okay, said, work harder, work faster. And I remember getting so sick, like it was to a point a couple of days where I was like, I don't feel well. I physically have to not be here right now. Or days where I would have to just get up and walk away. And, at the time where we finally hit like that breaking point, it was, I need help to get this leader out of my life, like whatever that means. But it takes so much to to work up, especially if you're the breadwinner or if you're not sure where you're going to go for help. It's such a scary situation. And, I'm glad to hear you talk about it and bring people forward to understand that it's it's truly a quality of bravery, and, one that should be celebrated because you took the opportunity to ask for help versus anybody looking towards you with any type of negative connotation.
Yeah, this burnout is real, and, toxicity, and it can really take a toll on our mental and physical well-being. And we spend most of our time working, right?
Yep.
As in the US, right? That is
Yeah.
our norm. And to push through and push, I've been there, right? And I felt this need of, I always say I'm a recovering perfectionist, and spending 22 years in the military, just proving myself. And I would say I had to get bigger elbows to make space because I'm 4'11" and 3/4. I'm a small human. Being an NFL cheerleader, small human. And I'm just going to say, when you look like this as a soldier, people are like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
Because I don't look like the part, right?
Yep.
And so I wasn't always taken seriously. So I
Yep.
had to work extra hard. I stayed extra late. I did more and more, and sign up for more and do more and do more and do more until I was like, I can't do anymore.
Yep.
Right. And so I think really just paying attention to that. And then also, if you don't love what you do 90% of the day, like, we're not in I think our parents' generation where they stayed. Like, baby boomers stayed for 30 years. My mom is about to retire after like 32 years at the same company, right? It's not like that anymore. If you don't, like, you can get up and move and do something else, especially since COVID. You can get creative.
It's true.
And I was talking with a client earlier. She was laid off from her job. And I'm like, of course, she's in this season. We call it the messy middle.
Yep.
And it's uncertain and it's scary. But we were able to flip the script really quick on her and say, okay, you have a blank slate.
Mm-hmm.
You get a do-over. You get a second life. Like, and I've been able to take that blank canvas and say, okay, you get to choose. Design your dream day. That's what I
love that.
In the beginning of my planner, it says design your dream day. How do you want to wake up? How do you want to have a 4-hour work day? Let's make it happen.
Yep.
How can you design it the way that is going to lift you up and fuel you forward? And so that's what I go for every single day. And because, we get one shot at this life.
Yep.
And why not do something that fuels your fire?
And so, question for you, when you find what's going to fuel your fire, what's the first step that you should do? Like, what's that first step that you would recommend that somebody take?
I love this question. So the first step is recognizing your unique personality style. I just shared, like, I didn't always fit in because I have so much. You said no one should have that much energy at 6 o'clock in the morning. I literally am fueled by passion and my energy, and I have a lot of energy, right? But when I started researching the power of psychology, emotional intelligence, and personality styles, I always thought I was weird. I always thought, well, like, I have all this energy and this excitement, and I want to challenge, and I love, like, amusement parks and doing fun things and traveling the world, and people never took me seriously. And they're like, oh, you're all over the place. You're just that cute little runner girl that goes everywhere, and you're too happy, you're too peppy. But what I realized, and when I learned about my personality style, that this is a part of my makeup.
Yeah.
And is a part of my fabric, of my DNA in which I see the world. And another part of that is planning and structure and order. And so what I realized is that is a beautiful recipe for growing a global brand as an entrepreneur. And I need freedom and I need flexibility to move and pivot and grow and learn and go after things. That is my unique fabric. And so when you can figure out what your top 2 personality styles are, and that's what I love to help people do, is help you figure out what your strengths are, what your gifts are, what your joys are, what your needs are. And we design the life around that so you can step into your true power. So you don't have to shrink or fit into places and spaces or show up with a suit when you don't want to, right? I get to live in the beaches of Puerto Rico and travel the world and help people. Like, I designed it because I love to travel, I love fitness and all this stuff. So that would be my first step, is figure out what your unique talents and strengths are. And quite honestly, that thing that you think is weird is probably your gift that other people need.
Oh, I love that. That is perfect. It's so refreshing to hear you say that. So many people try to put others into like cookie cutters, right? Oh, if you're this, then this personality type, you should just go, these are your 5 careers. Don't try anything different. But I think in the world that we're living in, to your point, since COVID, we can be remote, we can try many different things. There's so many different ways to go after something that you really enjoy, because you can take advantage of different tools that we've been able to develop over the years. And, if you have that, that sparkle and what brings you joy, that's probably the right thing to go do. So I love how you said all of that. It just makes my heart happy to hear you say that and to hear your perspective, because again, there are other coaches and people in the market who just try to cookie cutter you into these different things, and it just, once again, it's not what brings you joy, and it's not what's going to make you happy, and we do only have that one life to go after what we want. So I love that.
Yeah, thank you. It's so funny. Like, I always say that my guidance counselor never told me about this option. In fact, she never even told me about the military either. I found it in my freshman year in my undergrad. But anyways, what we make major life decisions between the ages of 17 and 25.
Yep.
Most people, most young adults from those ages make lifelong decisions when their brain and their experience level has not even been developed yet. They haven't even tried anything, and they're like, I'm going to nursing school for 6 years, and that's going to be the rest of my life. And I've been reflecting a lot on this too with marriages, right?
Yeah.
We get married. Society says that we need to go to college, get married, get the white picket fence, get the nice car, get the corporate job, make sure you have 2 kids before you're 25. Otherwise you're geriatric, right? Like all of these pressures. And then when you hit 40 and you're like, this isn't what I want the rest of my life to be like, that's when people call me and they're like, there's got to be another way, because I'm exhausted. I am miserable. I'm burnt out. I am overweight. I'm depleted. I've been doing everything for everyone else because I thought I had to.
Yep.
And I love to show people their next life. Like, you get a blank slate of a second try.
Yep.
And it's painful, but it's also can be really beautiful.
Yeah, it's so true. I look at what my daughter is going through right now. She's one of those COVID kids who went home freshman year because they had to go remote, never went back to high school until her senior year. We asked her to make a decision about what she wanted to do in her life, where she wanted to go to college. We asked her to move away from home after having spent pretty much 4 years, told to stay home. Socialization, don't go near people, don't talk to people, and now we're going to throw you into a college. We need you to make a decision on what your life's going to look like. And it's so unfair. It's so difficult and challenging, and watching what she goes through just to try to to make it through every semester is definitely different than what producer Ken went through when he went to college, because he had a completely different high school, experience. So it's just, you hit the nail on the head there with kids and what we're asking them to do at such a young age. And, by the time you do get to 40, 45, 50, you're looking at life again going, I need to try something different. So.
Yeah. And I can't tell you how many 50-year-olds told me that, where were you when I was 20?
Yeah.
And, if I were to learn these emotional intelligence skills and how to manage my emotions, how to properly flip the script in my mind to recognize that the longest conversation and the longest relationship you have is the one with you. So you better make it good.
Yeah.
Right. And so when we pour ourselves into everything, our work, our business, and, our families, and we have nothing left, it's like, so I would love to get into the younger population as well. Like,
Yeah.
let's start now and let's give them the tools, especially those that are challenged with the COVID and the pandemic, because these things, it does not foster true connection,
It's true.
which is put the phone down, have a conversation without the phone.
Yep.
And it's a challenge nowadays.
It really is. And that brings me to one last question. Networking is just so important. And I know it's scary because, even when you reach out to somebody on LinkedIn, it's truly a stranger that you're reaching out and going, I kind of admire what you do. Would you talk to me for 15 minutes so I can learn a little bit about you? But it's so important. Like those 15-minute connections can totally change a moment in your life. What is your advice to others as far as going out there, finding networking opportunities? What's your advice for that?
Oh, gosh. Okay. So the short answer is get out there and talk to strangers. Do what your mom told you not to do. And that's what I've been doing. I've been like a rebel without a cause. And I actually just hired my mom onto my team. So shout out to my beautiful mother.
Aww.
And it's been a beautiful blessing. But I would love to just introduce really quickly the CEO mindset. It being in the military, we use a lot of acronyms.
Yep.
So one of the things that I live by is the CEO mindset. So whether you're a CEO of your business, you're a CEO of your life, and you get to design the life that you desire. So you get to consistently show up for your non-negotiables. The first C stands for consistency. So consistently show up in your truth, in your power, you authentically you, and be consistent in pursuit of what sets your soul on fire. The E stands for, it's kind of a growth model, is 2 E's. We are going to educate, right? We need to educate so we can have more competence, which brings more confidence, and we can consistently keep growing. We're going to have the results that we desire and not have the expectations. Now, with education, sometimes we collect a lot of things, right? And we want to meet a lot of people, but we don't actually execute. And so the other E is execute. So we can talk to a lot of people, yep. But are we being intentional with the execution of, hey, let's book that call instead of keep talking about it. Yep. Let's book that podcast. Let's get this on the calendar. That execution of that hard transaction and can make a big difference, right? Instead of just spinning our wheels with grabbing more things and kind of doing all this shiny object syndrome, right? And so that's the E. And then the O is always being open for opportunity. And that brings me to the networking piece. Go out there and talk to strangers. Talk to people that might not look like you, that might not think like you. And I'm just going to say it, that might not vote like you. You never know what could be possible if you open up a dialogue, you go out there and talk to strangers, and they might just be your next best friend. They might just be your next best neighbor. They might just be your next business partner. And they might be that person that unlocks that next level version of you. So I say, go out there.
I love that. It's funny. 2024, I've spent so much time getting to know people. And to your point, it was when I started organizing things, right? You can network, but when you meet somebody and you want to take that next step of execution, it's pause right after you have the conversation. I like to jot down what we talked about. If it equates to sending an invite or doing some sort of secondary follow-up, do that. And, it makes such a difference. But it is scary to do that first connection. Like, hi, I think you're great. But I mean, those are the type of people you want to meet and learn more about.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go back to your previous question, though, because if we don't know ourselves and we're not confident in ourselves, we put off this other energy, right? Mm-hmm. People can see if you're being authentic or not.
Yep.
People can see if you're confident or not. People can see if you love your job or not. People can see if you're passionate. People can tell by your body language. Yep. And so that's why I love personal development. I love this work, because I'm me. Like what you see right now on the screen, like I always say no fancy studio. I don't have a script because I'm me everywhere I go.
Yep.
Now I wasn't always that way because I had to fit into places and I was like stuffy and I had to introduce myself as a certain way. And quite honestly, now every single time I introduce myself the way I did this today, it's different every time.
Yep.
It depends on who's there, how I'm feeling, like I just get to be me everywhere. And I think sometimes we get into certain networking events because we should, or we have to act a certain way or look a certain way, and it doesn't quite always connect. So I just invite everyone, and hopefully this resonates, because the more authentic you can be and the more you know yourself, what you stand for, the more you can say no to certain opportunities as well. And I think that's just as powerful.
I think so too. One other thing I would say is sometimes you think what you're getting into is going to be a great networking opportunity or a great, organization, and it's okay to realize that maybe it wasn't the right move and say, I have to respectfully, move on from this organization. Just like you do your job, I think it's okay from a networking perspective, because what sometimes feels right on the surface after you spend a little time getting to know people and buddying it up to what your morals and your beliefs are, if you're not bringing yourself joy and it doesn't align, it's time to move on sooner rather than later. So that's what I found too.
Yeah, exactly. And your morals and your values, that's actually step 2 in my formula. Step 1 is know your personality and know your strengths. Step 2 is recognize your core values, so that we use it as a litmus test and a guiding light of what we say yes to, that's going to fuel us forward and feel that alignment, that soul connection, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, ooh, no, that doesn't align.
Right.
Those are values and needs. So if there's conflict and you're feeling icky and out of that alignment, it's typically a value misalignment or an unmet need. And that's where conflict comes. And that's where we love to do that work. But if you don't know yourself and what you stand for and your values, you got to do the work first. Because people can't read your mind. And so that's where we got to have a little dance and get to know ourselves first. And then this is fun work. I could talk for hours on it.
I was gonna say I could keep going for hours, and I love this conversation. I love everything about what we've discussed here. As we start to kind of wind down our conversation, there's one thing that I kind of wanted to share with everybody, and hopefully you're okay with this. Is that Krystalore has some great programs, and one of them is called the 6-week shred. And so I have decided. I joined. Our first day was Sunday. The first 2 workouts have been incredible. I haven't gotten to today's yet, but I will as soon as we're done. But for me, it's about not just the physical, but I do love the workouts. The 20. I love the 20-minute just 6 moves and you move on. I love that. But it's also the conversation around the goal setting and around the emotional intelligence. And for me, it was how I woke up one morning and I was like, I've got to get my shit together. And then I happened to see, your shred, and we had been talking, and I was like, this is just something I want to do. So over the next few weeks, we're also going to have some little mini check-ins and share kind of that process. And I have to say, I'm super excited about it, especially after this, this was such a connection for me. This recording and this time together have been just so empowering and have uplifted me, and just everything about your spirit has it really is an authentic, true, I think, fit for moving on over the next 6 weeks. So I'm excited about that. I will take it easy on the sweet potato casserole at Thanksgiving dinner, though. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, we're going to talk about nutrition in a couple weeks. Okay. Week 3 is all about nutrition and mindful eating and flexible eating, so that we'll go through that. I'm not going to spoil the details.
Okay.
But if y'all want in, we do have a couple spots left.
Okay.
And then we're going to close enrollment on Sunday of this week. So if anybody does want to still hop in, we can. After the first week, we close it down because everyone is, So, but yeah, it's It's powerful. And it's about the accountability. So we don't
Yep.
fall off our fitness this fall. We have a good relationship with food the holiday season, and we can feel strong and confident and resilient. And that is a beautiful way that keeps me accountable too, quite honestly. Like I'm just as excited to lead and guide this next 6 weeks. So I can't wait to
Yeah.
have our check-ins and see how the checkpoints are each week.
I can't wait. I'm really looking forward to it. So, other than the 6 week shred that you've got going, what's on the horizon? What do you have out there that you're looking forward to?
So much. Oh my gosh. It's so amazing. So I will say the biggest thing I'm looking forward to in 2025 are my retreats. So I do all-inclusive women's wellness retreats, and I live here in the beaches of Puerto Rico. So I'm hosting one in April here. It's a whole week, and it's for those people that put everyone and everything else first, and you get to get poured into and be treated like the queen that you are. And so it's fun, it's faith, it's fitness, it's family, it's connection, adventure. Show you a good time here in Puerto Rico. So I have 2 of those happening next year. One in Puerto Rico here in April, one in August in Costa Rica. I've been hosting retreats in Costa Rica for 3 years. And this past year, I hosted 3 retreats here in Puerto Rico. To include, one of the things that I'm really proud of is being an Amazon bestseller and being an author. So I actually partnered with my book writing coach and my speaking coach, Marcus Black. And last year we hosted our first book writing retreat here in Puerto Rico.
Oh, fun.
Where you go from idea to your first draft in 5 days with us. And so we're doing that again this May. So I'm super excited for that. And that is a co-ed experience right here on the beach of Puerto Rico. And just being able to watch everyone's book. They're about to launch that group from April. They're about to launch their books this fall. So super excited to watch them grow and become authors and speakers and get their message out, their true authentic voice that they've been waiting. So that's what I'm really excited about.
That's awesome. That is great. What a great idea. That's very accelerated. So it must be a very exhausting few days, but probably very, very exciting and just feeling accomplished when you leave.
It is. If I could do that once a month, it is literally the thing that brings me the most joy. And I love being, an online coach, but that in-person experience and I live with them. Like I live with you for a whole week, and imagine my energy. And I catch those negative thoughts. We flip it and reverse it. We work together, we laugh together, we eat together, we cry together. And it is a very beautiful, intimate experience where we take you on a journey of transformation. And, it is just to be able to watch a person. I'm not a mother, right? I don't have my own children, but all of my clients are like children. I get to watch their seasons of growth and change. And it's just such an empowering, beautiful transformation that I get to see in real life unfold, and to be a part of someone's story. Like my earth angels have been a part of my story. To be able to give back in that way is just, it lights me up. So.
Awesome. Well, that's great. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast and going live with us tonight. I've really I've enjoyed this conversation. I could keep going for hours.
I know. Well, we'll be talking next week on the 6 week shred.
Yeah, we will for sure. As part of also gratitude for community support, I'd like to thank GoArt here in Batavia, New York, for the use of their beautiful podcast studio. You can see a little bit about the mural behind me. Just a fun community art center doing some great things for Batavia. So we appreciate it. And producer Ken, thank you so much for being here tonight.
You got it.
And I will say, Krystalore, when you were talking about marathons and the 50 Ultra, Ken gave you like the thumbs up because he's quite the marathoner and just did his first 50 Ultra. So
awesome. Congrats, Ken. And you have one coming up too, my friend.
Yep. So actually, Ken's doing that one with me too. So,
Oh, really?
yep, doing the turkey trot, just that nice 5K. And then in May, Ken, myself, and my niece are all doing the Buffalo Half Marathon.
You are. I'm going to be there.
You are?
I am.
Are you running?
Yes, I will be there. I do a running group. I do virtual. I'm a marathon coach too. In my spare time. So I take a group every year to the Buffalo Marathon. And so we're doing a huge team. We're doing a live event on Memorial Day as well, the day after the marathon. So stay tuned for that. I'd love to collaborate, meet you, Ken, and cheer you on as you cross the finish line.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, thank you. I posted a picture in May. Ken, my niece, and I did the Toronto. They did the full. I did the half. We all were a little bruised out of that one, but
yeah, that one was a little rough.
but we did okay.
Okay.
We actually all did our like personal best for half.
I think we were all a little sore, but definitely better times.
Yeah, it was. So yeah, but we'll all
running a marathon. You should be sore.
Yep. But BioFreeze is the best friend.
BioFreeze got me through the ultra.
Wow.
Well, oh my gosh, that's so exciting. You're going to be at the same event. Oh gosh.
Mm-hmm.
All right, great. Well, maybe we can all right. We can maybe even do a stream or something live with you, like take Powered by Authenticity with you.
I would love that. I would be so honored. That would be great. And the running community, my gosh, it is such a beautiful community. So can't wait.
It really is. Like when you stand there, people just want you to succeed. Like it is wonderful. So
And everyone's running their own race, just one step at a time.
That's right.
And everyone gets the same medal.
Yes.
Kind of like life.
Hopefully there's a medal.
There will be.
Yeah. Oh, I only say that the Toronto one, they ran out of half marathon medals. So I got to the end and there was no medal.
Oh.
Now they did mail me one, which was very nice. So, but
yeah, sometimes the count gets off, or if they have random people running the race, sometimes that happens.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm sorry that happened.
They had a lot of last minute signups with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but all right. Well, more to look forward to. And I'm looking forward to our continued conversation over the next few weeks as well as part of this 6-week shred. And again, thank you so much for being here. This was such a wonderful conversation and I appreciate your support. And another shout out to my nephew. His birthday is also tomorrow. So happy birthday, Ricky. And thank you, Krystalore. I appreciate it so much. And thanks everybody for watching today's episode and listening on our podcast replay on Spotify and all major podcast platforms. Krystalore, I hope you have a great rest of your evening.
Thank you. You too.